Hello my friends, it's Rob Bill here, and welcome to Virasana. It's the pose of the hero. Why? Well, there's a story behind it, but really you have to be a hero to be able to dedicate and be committed enough to get proficient at this pose. In our modern lifestyle, this is a very uncomfortable pose. Our ankles are used to being in a particular position, and pointing them straight back, or what's called plantar flexion, can be very painful and uncomfortable for people. This flexibility through our quadriceps can be, well, very limited from sitting in chairs, and so this deep knee bend can be very uncomfortable for people. And with sitting, most people don't have the depth, the alignment in their hips to be able to keep their tailbone released back, untucked. And instead, most of us are slouched over here. On top of that, this takes a lot of strength to keep that shoulder girdle on the back of the body, not rounded forward, but also this rib cage is lifted, because most of us from our modern lifestyle are just really slouching our rib cage down on the hips, which leads to a lot of back pain. So where do we begin with this posture? We're going to keep it super simple. I absolutely recommend taking props to start. So I've got blocks here. You can take blankets, you can take pillows, you can take all the things that you want. If you have very stiff ankles, they don't do this. They much prefer this dorsiflexed position up towards the shin. Then you are going to want a little towel or even a little mat, because when you set up for this, you're definitely going to want your ankles supported just like so. Now, Virasana is an internally rotated position, and for now that just means our knees are together and our feet are going to be away from each other. We're striving for about shoulder width, but that might not happen right away. They might be a little bit closer together, so you can see my feet right there. So one, I have that little bit of ankle support. Start with something very small, and if you need more, take more. Two, my knees are together. Once I have the ankles supported and I reach back and release that skin back there so that there's nothing bunched up, then I take my hands to my knees. I lift the knees slightly, releasing bunched up flesh in the shins. Boom, boom. If you don't need the support out of the ankles, you can get rid of it at this point. And once that flesh underneath the shins is released, and I have these knees together, I bring my hands to my booty. I grab those butt cheeks, I lift it up and back on that diagonal so we untuck the hips versus being in a rounded under position like this. And we keep those hips untucked. Now, if you need a pillow or a block here to support those hips, because that's really uncomfortable, then take it, put it underneath your sit bones, so the bottom of the hip bones, which are sitting towards the front of those sit bones. Anterior pelvic tilt is tailbone untucked. If you see me, I have my hands on my hips. Posterior tilt is that rounded spine. We don't want that posterior tilt. From here, bring your hands, your thumbs, your fingers to the inside of your knees, your inner thighs, and trace a line from there to the outside of your hips, like your pockets. This isn't really going to help slightly externally rotate those hips. So we have the knees together. We're grounded through those feet that are separated. We're sitting on that black tailbone untucked. And then we'll bring those hands to the outside of the hips, and we'll trace down towards the inside of those knees, telling our body, hey, I want this internal rotation here. Final thing with the legs is to squeeze those heels towards each other just a tiny bit, stabilizing the ankles all the way up into the hips. If I get my hands out of the way, you can see here I can pull my shoulder blades back. That pulls the shoulders towards the back body versus having rounded forward shoulders. And then as I inhale, I'm putting my hands on my rib cage, just like I'm lifting my rib cage up off of the hips. And as I exhale, I'm going to keep that rib cage light. It takes a lot of work. You can feel your hips working when you do that. Finally, poke your front ribs, take a big inhale. As you exhale, try to zip them in. I usually find it helpful to make a metal singer or cat vomit sound, and that helps me tuck them in. It feels like you're a turtle with that upper body. And then set those hands down in that lap. This is Virasana. This is hero pose. It's a lot of work. And if you're coming to this for the first time, I would take about 3 to 5 breaths here. And if you really want long-term tissue change, 3 to 5 minutes is the golden zone. As always, if there's pain, stop. Do not do it. There's a lot of injuries in yoga because people are, well, stubborn. There's a lot of injuries in yoga, and don't be one of them. If there's discomfort, that's a sign that for you to steer into it. And anything that's really uncomfortable, Remember that your muscles are like a crying baby. It's our job to love them, to cradle them, to breathe, even sing into them, and just back out until you get to that point where it's slightly uncomfortable, but you can't hold it. This is it, guys. This is Virasana. This is the hero pose. Enjoy this. Drop me a comment. Let me know how it felt for you, and you have an absolutely amazing day.